Alright, so we are recording. Alright, so what we are doing is we're planting soybeans. We had a little bit of a rain yesterday, last night. I planted until a little after midnight, which put me awake for over 20 hours. I was pretty tired. I did end up stopping in the middle of the field up there and taking a 10-minute nap, which worked out quite wonderfully because I was able to complete the field. I was about ready to fall asleep. So, yeah. By the time I'm done today, I'll have probably 160 acres. Well, I might even have over 200 acres of beans in the ground by the end of today. But by the time I'm done with this farm here, I'll have 106, I believe around 160 acres in the ground. Right, Will? Got my little man, my right-hand man here. He's with me today. Oh, was that your head? Did you break the glass? Nah, he's tougher than that. So, it's a little bit, we had 1/10 of an inch of rain, which makes the soil is perfect. It's perfect. It's crumbling and everything. Problem is, I'm planting through this rye, which has dew on it, or rain moisture on it, and that's causing the wheels to get a little bit wetter than you would think, and it's making the dirt stick to that, or the soil sticking to the gauge wheels. But it looks to me like 99.99% of the seed is getting in the ground, so I'm good with that. It's covering, and I don't see anything out of the ordinary happening. So I'm pretty happy with that. But I'm going to go ahead and put you all out there. You can see I'm running row markers on this because I put them on the other day and they work out really good. I'm in the 7530, which is a good tractor to run on this. We're burning about 3.5 gallons an hour for that, and yeah, so everything you see out there is pretty well planted. I'm just in this last 12-acre strip here, which this 12-acre strip is just about done. I've done that this morning. Yeah, so what I have to do now is probably another 30 acres. Another 30 acres after I'm done with this field, and we're good over here. And then I'm going to move back to another farm where Timothy was putting compost on. And if you look closely, you'll see compost on the ground there. Let's see, organic biomass is what I'm going to start calling it. The compost tea we had a nice rain after I put it on. A couple of nice rains after we put it on, and that is in the ground. Doing its things, feeding microbiome, and making that work out really good. I'm planting through spun-on rye that was spun on in mid-November. I don't know that I would do that again unless it's an absolute emergency. For the most part, I'm going to probably drill it after I take corn off or soybeans off or whatever I take off. Alright, so that's just that. Yeah, that's just that. Alright, let's see what we got. So there, now you get to look at my ugly mug again. I don't have anything metal that I can attach it to. These tractors anymore are all plastic. That's why when a John Deere, Case, New Holland, Fendt, Ultra, any of those tractors, those newer tractors catch on fire. That's why the fire becomes so violent and bad. It's because of the plastic. The 7410 would not have burned to the ground like it did if it wasn't for the plastic fuel tank. The minute that plastic fuel tank caught on fire and ruptured, it was all over. Because the 10 series tractors really had minimal amounts of plastic in them. the aught in the 10 series tractors. If you don't know what the aught series is, well, that's prior to the 10 series, like the 7010 series. Well, you had the 7000 series. Yeah, and now that everything is plastic, the minute you get a fire, that plastic gets it going, and that's it. Sorry. When the 4960 burned, which was a sad occasion, but it's bad, that would have never been able to be repaired if it was a plastic. If it was a plastic tractor, it just wouldn't have happened. Somebody's trying to call me. Alright, so I'm going to talk about this while this thing is running. That drill is bouncing all over the place. So, the reason it's doing that is because if you look to the right of the screen there, you're going to see there's lines. That's where I ripped the field last fall. I ran that ripper on there because this was my grandparents' place, and my uncle had leased this out to a sod farm where they basically raped and pillaged the place for 18 years. And when I say raped and pillaged, I mean they raped and pillaged it. Never put anything on. I never saw a fertilizer spreader go over top of it. I never saw lime go on. My uncle said the same thing. He said, no, I never saw them put anything on there. They just ran it out. And, you know, beans, wheat, sod, strip topsoil, sod, strip topsoil, till my mother got involved in it and said, no more stripping that topsoil off of there, because if you do, there's going to be some hell to pay, which I agree. When you steal topsoil, you're stealing topsoil. And of course their excuse was, oh, it's not taking any, that's just root mass. That's just root mass, and it's not topsoil, which is a load of horse shit. But whatever, I'm done bitching about that. So anyway, that's where they drove their semis and their trucks and their tractors and stuff, and you know, they parked those in there. I've made videos in the past of the not dirt that they had piled up in the fence line there. It wasn't even a fence line. Those were terraces that we had to cut out with a chainsaw because they refused to mow them with a brush hog. There was rocks and stuff in there. So we ended up cutting them out with a chainsaw and found rolls of sod that had, you know, came unstacked and fell apart. So they just threw them in the fence line there. And of course the pallet was underneath it with all those nails and fun stuff. And the dirt that wasn't there was actually piled on top of the pallet with the rotted grass that was all rotten.
I shut it off?
Go ahead. You can shut it off. So anyhow, with that being said, I'm trying to get this soil back into shape. I don't know what kind of chemicals they use for the insecticides that are terrible to the grass. But whatever it is, it killed the earthworms in this soil. There is nothing, and when I say there is nothing, I am serious, man. There is nothing in this soil. You can dig down with a track hoe 10 feet and not find a worm. They have destroyed it. So whatever they used, it was pretty detrimental. And that's why I ran the ripper, because there's no way of actually making the... I don't want to shut it off, William. There's no way of making the worms come back, and I have to rip it in order to get drainage. You see, worms bore holes in your soil, and those worms will make channels for the water and the roots to go down, and create more channels and roots to go down for roots to go down as they go down. Tap roots that go real deep. Corn can actually put a root down 15 feet. This soil is not that deep, but it could be, and you know, without worm activity, it's kind of bad. And there's just really very little activity in the soil. I'm trying to bring that back. It's just very important to me to get it back to an organic, fungal activity soil. And by doing the rye that is on here, that is part of the process, and it should work. It should work. So rye, this will be beans now, and then it's going to go into wheat, and then when I take the wheat off, I will not be baling the straw. At least I don't believe I will be. I more than likely will not be baling the straw. I will actually just be drilling in a multi-species cover crop, a 12-way or an 8-way or something like that, to get the things that I need out of the soil from the microbiome that I'm going to be feeding with that cover crop. After that cover crop is done, there will be corn planted, and that'll be the following year. So yeah, so that's what's going on there. Anyway, I guess you've watched this long enough, and now you can hear me yammer on while I'm in the cab. So thanks for... Okay, what do you got there? Carnival Pop, huh? Who gave you that? Who gave you that? Where did you get that? Well, you don't want to open it all the way. Oh, you do want to open it. Lewis gave him that. Anyway, with that being said, I will partake in some of that sugar infusion. But yeah, we had a breakdown. Just a little one. On the axles for the opener, there's a... on the axles for the opener, there's obviously there's a nut that holds the hub on, and the hub, the nut that holds it all on, stripped out. So it packed with dirt behind the gauge wheel and up against the gauge wheel and the disc, and then it stopped turning, and I was taking on corn stalks. But the bearings were not bad, and unfortunately I didn't have another nut. I'm gonna have to buy some nuts. But the nuts, if you didn't know, if you got a nut that's stripped out and it's not terrible, you know, it's like there's equal wear between the nut and the shaft, or the shaft, or the threaded bolt or pin that you're putting this thing onto. You take a hammer and you whack it and make it slightly out of whack, out of round, the whole entire thing, and then it's like a lock nut then, and you can put it on and life is good. And that's what I did. So yeah, that's what I did. So I have I've got a castle nut that is slightly oblong, and it works. And I'm gonna have to... You think I should give the kid this thing? Is this a good idea? His mom is gonna come. I'll tell you what, the only way to actually do this is to whack them. You whack it and you break it into pieces. Because that's the best way to do it, which is what I've done. And then you break a piece off and give it to the kid. So I'm gonna do that. Give me a minute. All right. So I think I'm going home. I know I'm going home. I'm tired. I planted beans until 4 o'clock this morning. It's now 3:30 in the afternoon. I'm pretty damn tired. You want to check out the cows, or the cattle. There's steers. There's a couple of heifers in there. My sister wants to breed, and I personally don't think we are in the breeding program. It's just easier and cheaper to just buy a couple of calves or young stock 250 pounders and raise them up to 1,000 or 800, 900, 1,000 pounds. And I just think that's better, personally. We've had some rain, obviously, and I went out and picked up a sprouted soybean. My dad threw it out, but he grabbed it, and I pulled it out of the ground, and it was 40 hours. 40 hours, and it had a 1/4 inch sprout on that soybean seed. So the grain drill's working perfectly. I was a little bit concerned with the drill. It was you'd see a seed here and a seed there on top of the ground, and I was just a little bit concerned with that until I realized why. There's little rubber flappers that hold the seed tube on to the meter, you know, where the gate is. And a few of those flaps had flipped up, and it was allowing a few seeds to pop out here and there. So that kind of defeats the purpose of the seed going down the tube. So I flipped a couple of them back down. But I'm so tired, I just can't do it today. I'm tired. Yeah. the first soybeans that I planted on Sunday, they got a root on them like that. They have a rhizose sheath around them, therefore there's plenty of microbial activity in the soil. The mycorrhizal fungi is amassing around that root, and it is exuding exudates, which is a good thing because we like exudates in the soil. What that is going to do is sequester the right the mycorrhizome, the biosphere, and the microrhizome and the biosphere to bring that plant what it needs. It's actually kind of cool once you realize what you're looking at and you understand what you're looking at. That makes things way more interesting. I'm having more fun farming now than I did, for the first 40 years of my life. I'm 49, I'll be 50, so my farming career started when I was born, actually, but when I started really farming on my own, I was 19, graduated high school, and I was off and running in agriculture. Not a very quick start. I know there's a lot of young folks out there that are on even YouTube world that are more farther ahead than I was at that age, but they have a very different operation than what we had. We were dairy, and it's just, we won't even get into that. But I know that if I knew then what I know now, and as ambitious as I am, I would have been way farther along than what I am now. My children, my older children, not this guy, not that guy, but my older children, Tim, Haley, Joe, they're not into it like me. They're not into it like I was. It's kind of sad to me, but I have hope. My hope is right there. This little guy right here in this back seat has more interest in farming in his little toe than all three of my other children combined. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a fact. It's just an absolute 100% fact. It is Friday. I wonder if Quakertown Market's open. Boy, that would be fun to go to. What do you think? We can go to Quakertown Market. Maybe we'll grab Mommy and go to Quakertown Market. It is 3:32, and I think Quakertown Market would be fun to go to. Maybe we'll wait for Mommy and we'll go buy a cheesecake. I don't have any cash though. I don't have any cash. I'll get some cash. And maybe we'll go to Quakertown Farmers Market. That'd be fun. It's a good rainy day thing to do. We used to do that when I was a kid. My parents would, this is going to be kind of a personal vlog. You can watch it or not. It doesn't matter. I don't really care whether you watch my videos or not. But this is just the... when I was a child, a kid, my parents, we didn't go to restaurants. We didn't go out to eat. We didn't go to places like Great Adventure, like get the weekend passes like everybody would do that I was raised around. Sesame Place and the seashore. I remember every place that we ever went probably on one hand. What's that? You don't want that? No? Is that what you want? Look at those teeth. Can you smile? Look at those teeth. What a handsome man I got. So for everything that we did when we were kids, it was important because we didn't do all this stuff. And it was basically we were farmers and we worked. We milked cows. So when we had cows, when anybody that has cows, whether they're beef cows you could leave for a couple of days as long as you got waters and you put get somebody to check on your cows. And basically checking on a beef cow is drive by the pasture, see that there's not feet hanging out of one of them that is giving birth, and the waters are watering and the hay is in the rack, and they're pretty self-sustaining. They're easy. Beef cows are easy. You could leave them for a weekend as long as there's water and feed, water and hay, and that's fine. But dairy cows, you got to milk them twice a day. And milking cows twice a day, it's not hard, not easy to find people that'll do that to help you out. So when my family went somewhere, it was a big deal. Like they would get up a little early. You couldn't milk cows too early because then they would be, you know, the udders would be full by nighttime and they would be uncomfortable and it actually would hurt production. So we would get up maybe a half an hour to an hour earlier, get those cows done. My mom would have sandwiches made and water packed. We did not buy soda. We never had none of that stuff when I was growing up. And I still have all my teeth. All of them. Every single one of my teeth is still in my mouth. I drink more soda now than I ever did, and I don't drink much at all. You know, maybe one soda every other week. You know, sometimes I have 2 in a week if my wife buys something. If we stop at the Choke and Puke and get, you know, like Burger King or something, then I'll get a soda. But for the most part, we're not big soda drinkers. But anyway, that being said, I remember going to the seashore. I remember going to Great Adventure once, and then again, my grandmother and my aunt took us when I was in probably 7th or 8th grade. We went to Great Adventure, and it was a fun time. The safari, which at this time, right now, I would love to go see the safari. But when I was a kid, it was like, F these animals, let's go ride. Let's go on the rides. I want to see what's out there. But now, Six Flags Great Adventure is very different than it was when I was a kid. They call it Little Havana now because it's nothing but Spanish. There's no white people that go there. In New Jersey's Jackson, you know, Jackson, New Jersey is where it's at. It's just all, and I'm not saying that it's, you know, bad that these people are there. It's not bad at all. I mean, we all, if you want to go, you're welcome to go. It's just when you can't understand the language because you don't speak Spanish, then it's a problem. But whatever, such is life. So I remember going to the seashore, and there's pictures of us going to the seashore. I remember going to a tractor pull maybe once or twice. Twice I remember going to a tractor pull, and I've only ever gone to a handful of tractor pulls anyway, just because, you know, it's skillless. It's speed and momentum. That's all that is. You know, speed, momentum carries horsepower and speed. I prefer the stone boat deal because what's that? The stone boat, you actually have to have a little bit of skill.
Where's Mommy Pussy?
Mommy's coming.
Mommy's coming?
Yeah, she'll be here. We'll go in the house because I'm really tired. I think I'm gonna go to bed. So, but anyway, I think today the kids have too much access to too much stuff and they're never satisfied. The more you give a kid, the more they're gonna want. And then when you do fall on hard times or something and the money's not flowing like it used to and your kids are like, I want the newest, latest, greatest iPhone. And I want the newest this and I want that and I want the other thing and I want to go to McDonald's, I want to go to Burger King and the money's just not there. Well, you did do it. You're a good big boy. So you get down, grab my neck. There you go. Keep your feet dry. So, you know, when you give them too much, then they expect more and more and more. So I'm pretty much minimalizing, you know, overstimulating this guy that's here. And he's a better person for it. Uh-oh, our apple tree fell down. So we've got apple trees here. Theresa bought them. Me and Theresa bought them. Actually, I bought them. She picked them out. Must have had a bit of wind. And we want to get these in the ground because they need to be in the ground. Anyway, see you later.